It's my pleasure to introduce Drue Pearce. She is speaking with us today on meeting the challenges to getting Alaska gas to market. Drue began her public service to Alaskans in 1994 when she was first elected to the State House of Representatives. She served 2 terms in the House and was then elected to the State Senate, where she distinguished herself by twice being Senate President and Senate Finance Co-Chair. She resigned her seat in the Senate in 2001 and moved to Washington, where President Bush and former Interior Secretary Gail Norton named her senior advisor for Alaska Affairs at the Department of the Interior. 2 years ago, she was nominated by the President and confirmed by the Senate to be the federal coordinator for Alaska natural gas transportation projects. Drue is responsible for ensuring that all federal agencies with roles in permitting on eventual North Slope Arctic gas pipeline move expeditiously. She also is responsible for leading cooperative efforts and coordinating between federal agencies, their state counterparts, and their Canadian counterparts if the eventual project is built through Canada. So please help me welcome Drue Pearce.
Thank you very much, Wendy. Good morning, everyone. Thanks to Jason and Carl and to RDC for having me come address your breakfast. Governor, I always enjoyed working with you, and I sometimes miss those days. I know that I'm standing between all of you and the NCAA tip-off, which of course is at 8 o'clock here. So I was going to say I wouldn't say anything new after a quarter till, so you could get to your desks and start streaming it. But I'll try to talk fast. I cut 4 pages out to try to make sure that you can get there. I'm going to talk to you this morning about the challenges of getting Alaska's North Slope gas to market. We have a great opportunity. I believe that we're closer than we've been before to making this happen. But it's going to take all of us pulling together, working together, because there are a lot of pieces that have to fit. And for some of those, all of us in the room are responsible, not just the 2 competitors that we have before us at the moment. As all of you know, one of the largest known reserves of natural gas sits on our North Slope in the Arctic, associated with the development of Prudhoe Bay and Point Thompson. That 35 trillion cubic feet of proven natural gas reserves will make a significant long-term contribution to the United States' energy supplies. Since the late 1990s, the governor remembers this well, the state of Alaska, the 3 North Slope producers, TransCanada and other major pipeline companies, and all Alaskans have been pondering whether now is finally the time when construction of the gas line is economically feasible. It's 10 years since the late 1990s, and we're still doing some of the pondering. Before TAPS was built in the early 1970s, there were countless environmental, Arctic construction, and native subsistence and sovereignty challenges that had to be resolved. It took federal enactment of the ANSCA, the Native Claims Settlement, as well as the Trans-Alaska Pipeline Act in order for construction to proceed. At the time, the necessary infrastructure did not exist. It all had to be built before the pipeline construction could commence. This project, our gas pipeline, a mostly buried, chilled, high-pressure natural gas pipeline, brings a host of new challenges to us. Although most of you probably know it, some of you weren't here in the 70s. I think it's important to talk about the brief history about the federal laws that govern the gas pipeline project. While TAPS was being constructed, plans were initiated to build a large diameter pipeline to deliver the associated natural gas to the lower 48. Congress enacted the Alaska Natural Gas Transportation Act. President Carter, all those years ago, designated the route, the design, and the project sponsors for this transportation system. The southern portions of the pipeline that are shown in light green on the map are known as the pre-build, and they went into operation in 1981 and 82. The northern portion that's shown in dark green will link the North Slope gas to those pre-built legs. Foothills Pipeline, now a subsidiary of TransCanada, is the legacy owner and operator of those pre-built lines. The northern portion is the route of the pipeline that has remained both an elusive target, but also an irresistible dream to all Alaskans. There have been countless proposals to produce North Slope gas since the late 1970s. Most of you have worked on one or many of those proposals. The latest effort, however, led Congress to passing the Alaska Natural Gas Pipeline Act, known as ANCPA, in 2004. That statute created my office, the Office of the Federal Coordinator. It also encouraged, in fact directed, the expeditious approval, construction, and operation of a natural gas transportation project for delivery of North Slope gas to U.S. markets. We're watching 4 projects at the office. The first 2 are the mainline proposals over which we have direct authority, and the final 2 are the in-state pipeline proposals. TransCanada, the state's GEO licensee, has not entered the pre-filing process with FERC. Until they do, though, they have asked the OFC to help them coordinate their engagement with the U.S. federal agencies regarding the project. They have filed a right-of-way application with the DOI's Bureau of Land Management, and they're undertaking preliminary feasibility and routing studies. They intend to complete their open season in July 2010, and they anticipate that their application to FERC will be deemed complete in late 2012. But it is important to note that the state's GEO license does not grant an exclusive right of land use or right-of-way permits at the state level, nor is there an exclusive right at the federal level. Pushing as I'm turning the pages. Denali, the Alaska Gas Pipeline, is a joint venture, as you know, of ConocoPhillips and BP. They opted not to engage in the state's GEO process, but they have entered the formal pre-file application process at FERC, and they have filed a right-of-way application with the DOI BLM here in Alaska. In December, they submitted a detailed field study plan to the FERC docket, and you can find that on FERC's e-library. Their plan includes a resource data gap analysis that examines all the public and private information that was produced over the past 10 years and provides information regarding their ongoing and future collection of environmental and cultural resource data. They also expect to have an open season in 2010. Still doing it. I'm absolutely determined to get to that side. Now on to the in-state lines. The reason we care about those is because of the timing of all of these activities and our instructions to help expedite the permitting and then the construction of a main line. The ANGDA authority has proposed a spur line, as you know, from South Central to Fairbanks. They've actually just held their scoping meetings for the project, and the Army Corps is lead on the ANGDA's federal environmental impact statement. BLM is a cooperating agency, and other federal agencies are expected to be participating. They anticipate a draft EIS to be issued in December of this year with a final EIS by June of next year. And their goal is to have a ROD, the Record of Decision, issued by the end of July in 2010. That's an extremely ambitious timeline. INSTAR has proposed a bullet line that would run from the Gubic Fields near the Brooks Range through Fairbanks to South Central. The Army Corps has also agreed to be the lead on their EIS. Our concern is the capacity of both the federal agencies and, frankly, the state agencies, but the federal agencies and the communities to deal with these huge environmental impact statements, the NEPA work at the federal level, all of the permitting that has to happen. At the same time, they're working on the infrastructure that needs to be preloaded or front-loaded for construction of the main line and the work that both Denali and TransCanada are doing. There is so much happening that the federal agencies are looking at being overloaded at this point. Finally, administration. The longest ever presidential election is finally over. Federal agencies are deep into the transition phase. Several months before Election Day, the agencies began to prepare for the transition teams. I'm pleased to report to you that the new administration, the Obama administration, does recognize the need for an Alaska natural gas pipeline. The President recognizes that the pipeline can increase America's energy security, create jobs, and help bring clean natural gas to domestic U.S. markets. It can create the bridge, help create the bridge to the renewable resources that the President looks to. He's mentioned the project several times since taking office, as have many of his leadership team, both in the White House and also amongst the secretaries. I'm focusing my attention on briefing key politicals on the project and continuing to work with the federal agencies and the project proponents to prepare to build a pipeline that will supply this natural gas to the lower 48. We're making sure that the career folks in each agency, working with the new political team, know where all the work that those agencies have already